Marriage is a most honorable estate, created and instituted by God, signifying unto us the mystical union which also rests between Christ and his church, which holy estate Christ adorned and beautified with his presence at his first miracle, which was the wedding in Cana of Galilee. Therefore, marriage is not to be entered into lightly, but reverently, soberly, and in the fear of God. Into this holy estate, Dran and Hope come now to be joined. Love is patient and kind. It is never jealous. Love is never boastful or conceited. It is never rude or selfish. It does not take offense and is not resentful. Love takes no pleasure in other people's faults, but delights in the truth. Love is always ready to excuse, to trust, to hope. It is always ready to endure whatever comes.
I, Dranreb, take you, Hope Robbins, to be my wife. I promise before God and these witnesses to be your loving and faithful husband, to share with you for plenty and want, in joy and in sorrow, in sickness and in health, as long as we both shall live, according to God's holy ordinance.
I, Hope Robbins, take you, Dranreb, to be my husband. I promise before God and these witnesses to be your loving and faithful wife, to share with you in plenty and in want, in joy and in sorrow, in sickness and in health, as long as we both shall live, according to God's holy ordinance.
Never forget, y'all, we were 19 years old, and one day me and Hope were sitting in the living room at my godmom's house. Hope said, "You know what, Ty?" She said, "One day I'm gonna have a husband," and at that time she was dating Dran. She said, "I'm gonna have a husband," and she said his name. She said, "I'm gonna have 2 sons." She said, "And I'm gonna have a house on the lake." And of course, me being the joking that I am, I said, "Yeah, Hope, and I'm gonna have a house on the lake and a house on the moon too." At that very moment, I didn't understand what Hope was doing, but at that very moment, I knew that Hope was writing out her destiny. And the only thing that I can say watching this relationship grow is that God definitely kept his promise when it came down to Hope and Dran. Because the day that Hope was 19 years old, I would never understand at that time exactly what Hope was talking about when she said that I'm gonna have a husband and I'm gonna have 2 sons. Y'all, when Hope called me that day and said that she was gonna have another son, all I can think about was God keeping his promise to my sister.
I raised Dran to be a man. I was hard on him growing up because I only wanted the best for him. I taught him to respect a woman. And one thing I told him, don't bring no females around me if you are not serious. And when he brought you, I knew it was serious. I told Dran, never lie to a woman. You gonna be with her, but be with her. If you don't want to settle down, then tell her you don't want to settle down. So everything that he's telling you, I know that he was being true to you.
When Dran came through, I knew he was a good guy because he got a job and he progressed so fast in a job. I said, "You ain't got you a dummy." And I was real proud that he got a career job and he was about his business. He ain't never looked at me. You know how young dudes come in the house to the daddy, all the daddies out here, they come in, they act like they mean mugger, they sagging and all that. It wasn't nothing. Dran was always by his business and always respectable, yes sir, and everything. And I said, you might be the one. They doing their thing and I really appreciate y'all. I love the both of y'all. And I know y'all gonna have a very prosperous future and y'all gonna be good.
this assembly of witnesses, having given and pledged their faith, each to the other, by the power vested in me by the Holy Spirit and the state of Georgia, I now pronounce that you are husband and wife. I ask that you now seal the promises you have made with each other this day. Dran, you may salute your bride.